the war in Ukraine has seen a rapid escalation in early 2026, with Ukrainian forces launching a series of bold and precise strikes on key Russian military targets deep inside Russian territory and in occupied areas. This offensive demonstrates Ukraine's growing capability in long-range drone operations, hitting ammunition depots, logistics hubs, fuel storage facilities, and manpower concentrations that are critical to Russia's war effort. Reports from reliable sources, including the Ukrainian General Staff and Security Service (SBU), confirm that one of the most significant strikes targeted the 100th arsenal of the Russian main missile and artillery directorate near Nea in Kostroma Oblast, causing massive secondary explosions of stored ammunition. This arsenal was a major supplier for Russian forces in Central and Moscow military districts, and its destruction represents a serious blow to Russia's logistical backbone. Additionally, Ukrainian drones have been striking targets in occupied Donetsk and Luhansk oblasts almost nightly, including logistics depots of divisions like the 20th Motorized Rifle Division and command posts of airborne units. Ukraine has also intensified daily drone attacks on Moscow itself, forcing repeated airport closures and highlighting vulnerabilities in Russian air defenses. These actions come amid Russia's own massive drone and missile barrages on Ukrainian cities and infrastructure, but Ukraine's bold moves show a shift toward proactive disruption of Russian rear areas, aiming to degrade their ability to sustain frontline offensives. Now, let's dive deeper into the interior aspects of this escalation, meaning the deeper strategic layers, the behind the lines impacts, and the internal dynamics driving this bold Ukrainian offensive. Ukraine's interior strategy revolves around its rapidly expanding drone warfare capabilities, which have become the cornerstone of their defense and counteroffensive efforts. The unmanned systems forces, led by commanders experienced in innovative tactics, have scaled up production and deployment of long-range drones, FPV kamikaze drones, and even fiber-optic controlled systems that are resistant to Russian electronic warfare jamming. In December 2025 alone, Ukrainian drones struck over 106,000 targets, eliminating or wounding around 35,000 Russian troops, numbers confirmed by President Zelensky himself, and plans for 2026 aim to increase that to 50,000-60,000 per month. This interior focus on asymmetric warfare allows Ukraine to compensate for disadvantages in manpower and heavy artillery by targeting Russian supply lines far from the front. Deep strikes into regions like Kostroma, Lipsk, and Belgorod disrupt ammunition flows, fuel depots, and troop concentrations, forcing Russia to divert resources to defend its own territory. Inside occupied territories, Ukrainian strikes on warehouses in places like Rovanki, Sorokine, and Selidov hit fuel, lubricants, and command points, weakening Russian units before they even reach the battlefield. This interior erosion is compounded by Ukraine's intelligence superiority, with the SBU coordinating precise hits that cause secondary detonations and chain reactions in poorly protected Russian storage sites. Moreover, the psychological impact inside Russia is significant. Daily drone alerts over Moscow, fires in industrial zones like Yelets chemical plant producing military batteries, and explosions in border regions like Belgorod create a sense of vulnerability among Russian civilians and leadership. On the Ukrainian side, this offensive boosts morale internally, showcasing resilience despite relentless Russian attacks on energy infrastructure. Leaders like Zelensky emphasize that these strikes are defensive responses aimed at raising the cost of Russia's aggression and preventing further advances in areas like Pokrovsk or Kupiansk. The interior technological edge comes from domestic innovation companies producing tailored drones for various ranges and purposes, combined with digitalization efforts in the defense sector. This deep layer strategy not only inflicts material damage, but also strains Russia's internal logistics, forcing reallocations that slow their ground offensives, as Ukraine targets deeper into Russian interior regions. It signals that no part of Russia's war machine is safe, potentially deterring escalation while buying time for diplomatic efforts. This bold interior campaign underscores Ukraine's evolution from survival mode to strategic disruption, making it harder for Russia to maintain momentum in the nearly 4-year war. Turning to the performance of these operations, Ukraine's strikes have been remarkably effective in recent weeks. The strike on the Kostroma arsenal caused widespread secondary explosions, indicating large stockpiles were hit directly. Similar performance is seen in occupied areas, where drone hits on logistics and command posts have disrupted Russian divisions' operations. Daily drone swarms targeting Moscow, with Russia claiming to down hundreds, but acknowledging disruptions, show high operational tempo and success in penetrating defenses. Overall performance metrics, like the December troop elimination figures, highlight precision and scale that outperform expectations given resource constraints. On safety features, both sides employ advanced countermeasures. Ukraine uses jamming, resistant drones and decoys to ensure safe penetration of Russian air defenses. Russia relies on electronic warfare and interceptors, but gaps allow Ukrainian breakthroughs. Safety for civilians is a concern, with strikes focused on military targets to minimize collateral, though explosions in depots pose risks. The unique selling points of Ukraine's offensive lie in its cost-effective drone warfare, cheap, mass-produced systems achieving strategic impacts equivalent to expensive missiles. USB includes deep reach capability without risking pilots, rapid innovation, and the ability to strike asymmetrically against a larger adversary, turning defense into proactive pressure. As for price, the human and economic cost is immense. Ukraine reports thousands affected by Russian retaliatory strikes on infrastructure, while Russia faces billions in losses from destroyed assets and disrupted supply chains. The broader price of escalation risks wider instability, but Ukraine argues it's the price of resistance against occupation. In conclusion, this bold Ukrainian offensive marks a pivotal escalation, showcasing resilience and innovation in hitting key Russian targets. While the war grinds on with heavy costs on both sides, these strikes could shift dynamics by weakening Russia's sustainment. Stay tuned for updates, and thank you for watching.